So Bridget, John, and Jane were handed over to what is known as an Aquarian. The Aquarians, while mostly female, are of the highest order of white witches. Generally, they work with nurturing, sex and sexuality, the feminine energy, the art of mothering, birth, and so on. Jane was aware of the Aquarians, but only faintly, simply because many of the Celtic witches are connected with the Aquarians. This was the first time Bridget and John ever had been exposed to such a beautiful being. They felt unworthy. Sensing this, the Aquarian looked deeply into their souls and said, "Do not worry. Do not worry about your mistakes in life. If the elder didn't think you were capable of learning what we have to teach, he wouldn't have brought you here." And with that, she gave a big, warm smile. So the Aquarian continued and said, "Let's get started. As you know, the Matrix is going to the dark side. The dark forces that rule the planet at this time plan on destroying the world as you know it. They plan to enslave most of humanity through their little technologies and games. The dark forces of Satan and the demons and devils that he works with, as well as the forces of the moralistic angels, have combined their energies in order to destroy humanity, or at least enslave it. It's a foolish game because in the end they all destroy themselves, and everyone knows this. And for those who survive their own destruction, they will evolve into something quite ugly. This is one of the reasons you were pulled out early. The other reasons the elder has told you." Jane didn't mean to interrupt, but she couldn't hold back. She asked, "Why do those people who serve those dark forces don't understand that they will destroy themselves in the end?" And the elder looked at her and said, "These people do not understand that the God complex, the ego that they play with, always ends up in destruction, even their own. It's a foolish game, one that they don't seem to be able to understand or learn because they're obsessed with the dark power that they hold over humanity. During the time of the angels and the devil, humanity has always been tempted by playing God over others through corrupt means. However, the timeline that we're going to create for you will be mostly void of that kind of thinking or influence. The ancestors I'm going to introduce you to now will teach you how to nurture, how to heal, how to love, how to discipline yourself at a deeper level than you've ever understood. And within the existence of that new timeline, you will go through your lives as you were meant to while you heal others, without even knowing that you're doing so. You will also be learning from the other ancestors that have other gifts for you through the people that you heal and help. And the magic of that is that you will learn all these things and not even know it until late in your life. And with that, some of the other ancestors started to show up. First, it was the she-folk, the fairies, like you do from children. From the fairies, you will learn play. The joy of play, the joy of life, the joy of living, the joy of being. And then she looked at Jane and said, "This is where your free-spirited soul comes from. You may not have realized, but you have fairy blood in you." Then she turned to the other ancestors. From the Buddhist, you will learn serenity, discipline, and control over all unnecessary passions. From the Hindu, we will introduce the Tantra yogas and other yogas. This will broaden your understanding of sexuality. John, from your Nordic ancestors, you will learn masculinity. From the Native American, African, Shinto, and even Hawaiian ancestors, you will learn how to read nature, you will learn the rhythms of nature, the flow of nature, and you will learn how to coexist with nature. from each of these groups. Again, all through interacting and playing with other members of that timeline. So the Aquarian handed back Jane, John, and Bridget to the Elder. And the Elder looked at him and smiled and said, "This will be fun. In the next life, Jane, you will have a new name. We'll call you Vicky. Your aura will be primary magenta. That will allow you to be more independent, spontaneous, and free-spirited. Your second aura will be, again, the violet, a little bit on the ego side, but this time you'll work with it. Bridget, we are going to make you primary yellow. This will help you learn playfulness your soul needs to learn. But your second aura will be quite the opposite, green. This will balance your intellect. John, you will be the same, the saint soul. You have such a good heart. Your second aura will be a red. This will help with your masculinity. John and Bridget, you will keep your names. The three of you will have different people from different ancestries come into your lives so we can exchange all kinds of training and experiences. From this, it is likely you will create new friends and new soulmates. The three of them felt so honored they were speechless. It brought tears to their eyes. The Elder looked at them and smiled and said, "Don't worry, I won't make it too easy on you." And with that, the Elder led him to the portal, back to the world as we know, but in a different timeline. In part 5, Jane, John, and Bridget go back to their lives as it should have been in another timeline. They meet up with Emiko, Asami, Sensei, Brennan, and many others. Now, since the story starts to get into graphic detail, since Celtic beings tend to be very sexual, I can't put this on YouTube, so I'm making a comic book form. In the comic book, there will be guides on how sexual healing is performed by the various ancestors, as well as more insight on how auras work, very similar to the book Love Match. Jane comes from Mary in The Devil's Contract. She is someone I knew. Her ancestors and my ancestors have relayed most of the story of what you've seen in the past 4 videos. When other members from The Devil's Contract conclude, I will make either a comic book or a video on their case as well. Again, all of this comes from my experience in this world and from my near-death or out-of-body experiences or channeling with my ancestors. When each chapter of the story is completed, I will make a promotion video to announce its publication. I hope you enjoyed this series. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.